One of our core values is big win, stands for begin and gratitude. So, Sean, why don't you start us off with a big win? Then we'll go Gino, then Larry, and maybe it's Gene.
It's Gene. His dad called him Gino. Big win for me was I did a client call this morning. One of my clients built a lead scraper, scrapes public records, register of deeds, demo permits, and all the public APIs on municipalities, and scrapes them, filters the data, and presents data to them every Monday morning to 3 or 4 leads to call that are people looking for home builders or developers. And so they showed us that system and had 9 clients on it. They were all like looking at how to automate marketing leads. It was pretty freaking cool, man. I had a fun time
That's cool.
highlighting their work. They worked really hard on it. And they've got $50 million of work that's being estimated right now based on that just the
lead scraping. Golly.
Yeah. So
Golly.
Cool.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Gene, you got a big win?
So just got word yesterday that a contract we were trying to get on a new custom home, the homeowner has selected us. So got a new big project on the horizon.
That's awesome.
Our win today.
That's awesome.
Man, huge win. Hey, what's the scope of that one?
I'm still getting into that. Isabel just shot me a message, says that it's a barn dominium.
Oh, they've been working on that one. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that word might ring a bell. So yeah, a barn dominium that they've been working.
That's awesome.
Homeowner, they're going with Moss.
It's great, man. That's great. Congrats to you and the company. Larry, you got a big win for us?
Just like I mentioned, I was winding down my business and I'm out of this space as of last week. So it's good to have that over. So.
Nice. Congratulations. Congratulations. My big win would probably be, I'm not a personal big win. My wife and I's 9th anniversary was this week. And my son turned 3 this week. And we're going up right after work today. I'm driving up to Charleston, South Carolina, where we're going to do a big party with my in-laws and just fun. It's going to be a fun weekend celebrating my little guy. So it's probably my big win. Regardless, we are Larry and G. We're pumped y'all are here. So we're in week 2 of this series that we call a financial tune-up. So really it's the importance of this series that we did, and this is actually our 3rd summer doing it, is we work with business owners all the time where it's like driving a car when you're like, something just popped up on my dashboard. It's a check engine light. I don't really know what it is. When it comes to the windshield of the finances of a business, there are all these check engine lights that seem to happen. So in those moments, we like to come in and do what we call a financial tune-up. So last week, what we talked about was how to identify overhead, which with our overhead tracker is the tool that we typically use for this. And today, what we're going to be talking about, or last week was the back door, right? Where's the money leaving? What's the overhead? Today, what we're going to be talking about is where's the money coming in? So this is forecasting. Sean is going to do a really elaborate job of walking through how we actually set up a forecast to look 12, even 18 months in advance of the revenue our business is going to be bringing in. Which just gives a ton of clarity. And then next week, the last week of this financial tune-up, we're going to be talking about what do we do now that the money is in the house? With the money we have right now, how do we manage it? How do we look at it? How do we actually know what is ours and what isn't ours? So we have all that. So that's kind of what this financial tune-up is. Sean is, I'll make this full screen for us. Sean is going to be breaking this down. I don't know if that's gray to y'all. It's gray to me.
It's gray.
Gray.
Brandon Gray. That's why.
Brandon Gray.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Well, anyways, I guess no big deal. But Larry, I know you're a little bit new to us. BOP, we are a team of business coaches. We exist to liberate business owners from chaos. We have 8 coaches with 12 team members with 4 support staff. And we really only say that to say this is not Sean and I's stuff. It's not something Sean and I came up with. It's something Sean and I coach on a day-to-day basis, but this is the support of a full team here at Business on Purpose. And we exist for one purpose, to liberate owners from chaos. One of the main chaoses we see early on is the financial side of the chaos. So anyway, Sean, take it away. Walk us through some forecasts.
Yeah, we'll dig in, and just 2 quick stories about this tool that we've used. My first story was a general contractor in California, and they were doing residential work, and they were doing these condo skins remodels, and they would go into apartments and, lipstick on a pig, do some countertops, do some paint. They'd freshen up these apartments, and they had a contract to do these units. And it turns out As we did this forecasting tool to look at their cash flow, they realized they were making literally negative dollars or $0 on these apartment units. And so just getting the data in front of us was able to let us see, okay, this is not a profitable future use of our cash. And so that was really helpful. The second story was actually a better story. Builder in Charleston, South Carolina, and he was a single sole proprietor, single operator, had a lot of 1099 staff. And when we did his forecasting and we were looking at his rough draft net profit estimates, he was significantly profitable on his future cash flow. And we realized, well, he's got a lot of capacity to hire people, and he was burning the candle at both ends. He was estimating, selling, building, doing everything, and realizing my cash is allowing me to do more with this business. And so for him, we were able to use the cash estimates to make decisions about future hires. And so when we think about, before I dig into actually the financial piece of it, I like to talk about inputs versus outcomes. And we always want good outcomes in our business. And we think about maybe a tree that grows fresh apples. The output is different from the input. So the outcome is fresh fruit, really good apples. But you don't put apples in a tree to make a tree good. You put in water, you put in sunlight, you make the bed clean, you create the orchard in a way that the fruit can grow. But you don't yell at the tree. You don't tell the tree, make more apples for me. You know, we've got business owners that want cash flow, and they say, make better cash flow, make the numbers work. Well, the inputs have to be right to get the right outcomes. If you want an outcome of healthy team dynamics and trust, well, the inputs are regular check-ins with employees, meetings where employees feel safe and supported and connected to. If you want consistent sales flow as an outcome, you need to define your sales process with drip content and high-touch engagement. If you want financial stability as an outcome, you want a healthy balance sheet, you want clear cash flow picture, well, then your input is defining your overhead, tracking your monthly revenue, tracking your cash, and using the right inputs. And so outcomes versus inputs is really helpful to understand. So as we look at forecasting, we need to ask 3 questions. What is it? Why do we need to look at what's ahead? And how do we start? So what is it? I want you to imagine you're driving down a highway and you're going 70 miles an hour. And I want you to imagine you're looking exactly 4 feet ahead of your car in front of you. You're probably terrified, right? Having a panic attack. You're not looking forward. You're looking straight down at 4 feet in front of your car. You can't see what's coming in the highway. So when we drive on a highway and keep our eyes further down the road, we make a decision on what's coming. So that could be distracted drivers, blown 18-wheeler tires, billboards, Bucky's billboards, south of the border billboards. You see what's ahead. And so when we're looking ahead on the highway, we need to see what's coming so we can make decisions. And so what happens if you hit this highway? Next one. Bam. Right? If you're looking directly in front of you, you're not going to see this crazy roundabout in a highway. In the same way, running a business requires us to keep our eyes moving, both behind us, P&L, in our car, what's our current cash, and future forecasting, where is the expected cash flow coming from? So let's look at a definition of forecasting. Forecasting is the anticipation of future cash position in order to make present decisions in business operations. So it requires a little bit of trust that our contracts are going to hold, that our backlog is good, that our work to future forecast is good. But we're having to make a decision today about a 12-month from now outcome, which is challenging. And so our goal is to use good data and use the right things to make those decisions. Okay, so question 2, why do we need to know what's ahead? Some of the questions I've answered with this forecasting sheet is, do I have the margin to hire the next role I need? Like, do I have capacity? Are we going to have enough work so I can support this estimator, this office manager, this sales associate, I guess you could call them? Can I continue to pay current employees if our work gets slow? interest rates don't change, work dries up a little bit. Are we going to keep people on? We need to see that future cash flow forecasting to know how much runway we have, how much working capital we've got to continue to pay people. How many months can we keep the lights on if we don't get another single check? If work dries up completely, how long can my company survive? And then can we make capital expenses? I always call this CapEx, tools, trucks, and toys. Do I have the ability to add tools, trucks, toys to better serve the business and better advance what we're doing? So forecasting isn't going to be guaranteed income. Sometimes we'll use a draw schedule, but it's never guaranteed until the check clears. And Brandon's going to talk about our level 2 dashboard next week, which is a weekly snapshot of the cash in the business. But it does provide, forecasting does provide us hard data and information to make better decisions. While many of you may be able to drive with your eyes closed and make it home, I'd prefer to see. And so how do we start forecasting in a right way? So this is what we're going to do. We use an Excel spreadsheet, and it's a very fancy tool you can also purchase from Google. And in the left column, we're going to start with our contracted work. So we're going to add the project, add the address, the amount of lengths of months it's going to take, and then the value of that contract. And so we've got a total value. And then what we're going to do on the months is then we're going to start to add the draw schedule or the amortized draw expected cash flow in each of those months. We don't know when that $625,000 is going to hit our account, but we know generally the month of doing it. Depending on the business, I've worked with some landscapers that we do a weekly cash flow. You may have heard of a 13-week cash flow, and that's super helpful as well. For a lot of our general contractors, it's been helpful to have monthly snapshots to track because they're not getting as many receivables in and out on a weekly basis. But here's where it gets a little more specialized. You can either just split the months by the total price and get a cost. So if it's $400,000 in 4 months, you could put $100,000. Or if you wanted to be a little more exact, you've got certain draw schedules that require larger purchases up front. It could be windows and doors purchases that are larger cabinets. You can front load some of those draw schedules as needed with pre-construction costs or other costs you can front load. So you'll see there we've got a $10,000 deposit that would go towards the build in this one example on the spruce garage apartment. But for simplicity's sake, a lot of times our goal is just to get, can we get a simple tool to help us make decisions and make sure we're green at the end of the month? So once you've got your projected revenue, we need to add Brandon's overhead from last week. And so you'll see on the bottom line, that's where we're going to take all of our overhead expenses. That's our staffing, that's our real estate, that's our rent, that's our utilities, anything that we are continuing to pay that's indirect costs of the job. We're going to pay no matter what, and it's not related to a cost of good. And so that overhead is going to go in the green column. And then once we've got that green column set, we're going to put our cost of goods percentage in the next green box there. And that's going to be pulled from historical data. We're going to pull your P&Ls. We're going to review the cost of goods and get an estimate as close as we can. A lot of our builders are dead on and they're 78, 82%. They're pretty tight. Or electricians, 30, 40, 50%, depending on what type of trade. If you're in a services business, your cost of goods is almost zero. But what we're going to do is we're getting 2 different segments, direct costs, indirect costs. And then the very bottom, we're going to get an estimate of my profit at the end of the month. What is the expected positive or negative cash flow? And if you've done this correctly, green is good, yellow is still above zero, and red is negative. Now, I won't say not good. Red is not good. Red is just negative. And now, why do I say that? Well, if you see red, I'm really glad you see it today and not 3 months from now. You see that March in our example is, we're positive in March, we're positive in April, and then we're negative in May. So if we're building this in February, it's actually good to see red, that I see it in February, because I can make decisions on that today. So I'm not waiting until May to realize that I'm out of cash and I'm struggling to meet payroll or pay some bills. And so our goal with forecasting is always, red is not good necessarily, but red is an opportunity to make adjustments either in my marketing efforts, my sales contracts, trying to pull some backlog forward if you've got a backlog of work. And that's an ability for me to make a decision today based on future cash flow. So that's how we're going to use the forecasting tool. And that's the nuts and bolts of it. Larry, Gene, got any questions about that? Just the two of you guys. So I'm really happy to, talk particulars of how you see it working for you guys.
Yeah, how much, timing's a bit of it, right? So how much of it are you gonna put in of historical stuff, especially if you're a subcontractor and you get paid when they're paid, right? And so your days outstanding are 120 days or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're net 120 on getting paid, yeah, that's a big challenge. But I would think, be able to just put that 4 months out if you're expecting it that in that time frame.
Yeah, it's not, sorry to jump in there, Sean. Larry, it's not an exact science. That's why we call it a forecast. You think of like, for instance, I'm going to Charleston this afternoon and we're doing a big outdoor party for my 3-year-old tomorrow. So I checked the forecast for tomorrow. Why? Not to know the exact temperature, but do we need to bring umbrellas? Do we need to have a second plan? Is there rain in the forecast? If it says it's going to be 85 and sunny and it ends up being 91 and sunny, like the purpose of the tool is not to get the exact, but I had a commercial drywall installer out of New York. This guy was awesome. First time in his family to not be in the mafia. Crazy stories from this dude. But his payouts were typically about 120 days because he was a subcontractor for a lot of big commercial work. And his forecast, to me, working with a lot of residential builders, looked very off, but it was just delayed by 4 months. But he was able, with enough forecasting and then tracking it and then getting better at his accuracy, he was able to get it to where usually within a month, he was pretty close to doing it. I do work today and I know I'm going to foot the bill until 4 months from now when I actually get paid for the work I'm doing today. So there is no direct science to it. Like I always tell my clients, when you build it out, just do a very quick estimate of what you're going to do and then set another time to come back and actually think through, well, I know the window package on this house is significantly more, so we probably are going to have more up front, and go back and make it a little more clear. But it's a forecast, it's a guess based on your historical knowledge in the field of about when you would expect to bring in money on all the different jobs you have going on. And you'll sharpen it as you keep working through it. You'll get better at it and better at it.
No, I guess my point was not that you have to bake into that forecast what you already have on the books for receivables if you're going to track cash flow. So you got to put your AR as a starting point, in my opinion, so that you know what your cash is going to look like. Like job's already complete, you're going to get paid in.
Yeah. You're tracking all income coming in through those months. That's right. How did you track your forecasting with the furniture, Larry? I'm not sure what part of the business you were doing with that.
Yeah, so it was more on the pipeline than the forecast. So it was managing the pipeline because it was a high deposit, high prepaid sort of business. My AR was pretty low. So
yeah, you're right though about if you have a backlog of AR because it's work that was completed 90 days ago, you would want to go back. I mean, primarily back until what you're still owed is the thing, right? Because you would start with about what am I expecting this month and move on. You could go do some history. But I have people that have been in August, they'll be like, well, let me go back to January. Okay, that doesn't do much for me because it's really starting now and on. But for a company that's 120 days, yeah, I would say go back 4 to 5 months and you'd be good.
Yeah. And I think with Larry next week, we'll do our level 2 dashboard. So that's our cash snapshot of cash currently. So we're trying to pair future cash, present cash. P&L gives us past experience of what's happened. And so we're trying to use all three of those as anchors to guide our visibility of what's happening in the financial portion of the business. So it's definitely not independent of its own. It works together with all the other ones.
Yeah.
Good questions.
Good. Any other questions? Happy to even show an example of a live one. Like I know the client wouldn't care. So if that'd be helpful, happy to share. But Yeah. Anything else we can do for y'all?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Same here. Good.
Awesome. Well, if y'all are interested, I know both of y'all have a connection to Sean through the builder. So if you reach out, we'll happily share and spend time helping build this out. But thank y'all so much for jumping on today on a Friday. Hope y'all have a great weekend.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Off that.
Yeah, Gene's got one for sure. Larry, I don't think Larry has a copy of Larry, I'll put the copy of the template here in the chat. So if you want to run through that and review it, feel free to check out what we built.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, y'all have a great afternoon and enjoy the weekend. Thanks for jumping on.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. See you in a few, Sean.
See you, Gene. Bye.